They're not just rethinking tech stacks, they're rethinking who gets to lead. Boards across industries are moving fast, replacing leaders who can't translate AI into execution, not because the technology failed, but because the leadership did. Welcome back to the 10x Contract Value Podcast, the show where contracts aren't paperwork, they are profit. I'm your host, Tyja Dickerson, and today's episode, it's personal because it's rooted in the closed door conversations that I've been having with executive leaders across industries, from finance to procurement, legal to strategy. And the common thread, it's not the tools that are holding companies back. It's the misalignment at the top. So today we're going to unpack what happens when leadership can't keep up, not just with budgets or roadmaps, but with the pace of change itself. Because in the age of AI, if you are not leading the transformation, someone else already is. It's reshaping the C suite, the boardroom, everything. We're talking about how AI's integration into business isn't just changing what leaders do, it's changing who gets to lead. We're seeing a quiet but powerful shift. Boards are making bold, sometimes brutal, moves to really restructure their leadership. Why? Because big AI investments are falling short. Margin pressure is intensifying, and the silos are slowing down the very change that those investments were meant to create. And what's really driving that breakdown? It's not the technology, it's the inability of leadership teams to work across functions, to speak the same language, to move in sync, and to execute with intelligence. In my last episode with Ash Mehra, former Chief Data and Information Officer at Constellation Brands and Mondelez, we explored how the CIO's role is evolving. And what's even more pressing now is this: leadership itself is being redefined by AI. AI isn't just influencing strategy, it's becoming the logic of the business. It's reshaping how decisions are made and how work gets done and who gets to lead. Across my conversations with executive leaders, the one thing that keeps coming up is that boards are no longer just satisfied with vision. They want execution. And if the current leadership can't deliver, they're making moves and fast. We're seeing this play out in real org charts. For example, at Intel, after a senior leader exited, they combined the CTO and Chief AI Officer roles under Sachin Katti in a move that really signaled structural prioritization of AI execution. In this past June at Jagger, they promoted Gopi Palavarpu to Chief Data and AI Officer, tasked with embedding agentic AI into areas like spend analysis and contracts and automation. This elevated the AI execution to the C suite at Jagger. And at Hartford, the company created a Chief Data, AI, and Operations Officer role alongside elevating a new CIO, both reporting to the CEO, marking a leadership restructure built for cross-functional AI execution. Now, this structural signal is loud and clear. AI not only needs authority, it's getting authority at the top. These aren't just little tweaks, they're structural signals. They tell us that AI isn't a project anymore. It's the new operational engine, and leadership is being reorganized around it. Because it's not about who has a title, it's about who has the authority to act across functions and in real time with the data and intelligence that they need. And in today's environment, that's becoming the only leadership currency that matters. In all of these shifts, one question keeps surfacing quietly, but it's pretty forceful in these boardrooms and C suite. Who actually owns the intelligence that drives execution? More importantly, are they empowered to act on it across the business and in real time? That's the real signal. Because if decision making power is still fragmented, if no one owns the data that drives the action, or if leaders are still constantly fighting over budget, influence, or access, that's not a technology problem. It's a leadership problem, and it's having consequences. According to CIO.com, over 238,000 IT and ops leaders were let go in 2024, another 76,000 in just the first quarter of 2025. But it's not just tech roles that are under pressure. From CFOs to COOs to general counsels and chief procurement officers, the common thread is this: leaders who can't execute in an AI enabled environment are being replaced by those who can. A recent Russell Reynolds study reinforces this shift. 72% of boards are actively pressuring all C suite leaders to either upskill fast on digital and AI or step aside. Because it's not just about knowing the tech, it's about using it to drive measurable impact across functions, aligning your finance, legal, procurement, and ops on shared outcomes. So, here's the uncomfortable truth that many executives are starting to admit. You might still hold the title, but if your cross functional influence is shrinking, if transformation initiatives are bypassing you, or if a new hybrid role begins to absorb some of your responsibilities, you're already being quietly sidelined. You're informed, not involved. You're still in the room, but you're no longer driving the agenda. As roles shift and mandates change, new kinds of leaders are really stepping into power, often quietly and really from unexpected places. Now, these aren't always digital gurus or AI experts. Many are former operators, people who've owned P&Ls, led transformations across silos, and know how to drive execution at scale. Boards aren't looking for more strategy decks. They're looking for doers. And that's why we're seeing the rise of a new role, the Chief Transformation Officer, not to be confused with the Chief Technology Officer. The Chief Transformation Officer, like at Walgreens, who created a new Chief Transformation and Integration Officer role that reports directly into the CEO, signaling transformation as a strategic priority. And according to McKinsey and BCG, these chief transformation officers are being brought in across industries, and they're often taking on work that used to sit with the COO or the chief strategy officer. But why? Because they have what boards now value the most: a track record of breaking silos, the ability to operationalize data and AI across departments is invaluable. And perhaps most importantly, they have the trust of both the front line and the boardroom. These leaders are integrators, execution first, outcome driven, and fluent in both AI and the P&L. They don't just approve the AI roadmap. They connect it directly to the cost takeout, the revenue acceleration, and margin improvement. Then they get teams moving behind it. Their superpower, they make different departments move together toward a shared AI enabled goal. That's the archetype that boards are quietly hiring for. The loudest voice in the room isn't the one. It's the one who delivers visibly, measurably, and across functions. All this talk of transformation, AI, and leadership change, it means nothing if it doesn't show up in how the business actually runs. So, where does the execution gap reveal itself first? It's not in strategy meetings. It's not in dashboards. It's in the daily cross functional processes that determine how decisions get made and how value either gets captured or lost. And to be honest, there's no clearer example than contracts. Contracts are the operational core of the enterprise. They govern pricing, rebates, SLAs, volume tiers, risk exposure, all of the levers that drive financial performance. Yet, in most organizations, contracts are still managed as static paperwork, not as live, dynamic data. And that's a critical miss because 80% of the P&L is governed by what's in those contracts. And yet, the data, it's buried, it's disconnected, untapped. And to be honest with you, this isn't a CLM problem. It's a strategic blind spot, a leadership opportunity hiding in plain sight. The leaders who will win in this new era are the ones who recognize opportunities like this. For contracts, that contract administration must evolve into real-time intelligent architecture, one that fuses contract data with operational signals, market shifts, and business goals. That shifts more than compliance. It creates enterprise awareness, intelligence that moves with the business, not behind it. And the leader who drives that type of shift, they won't be modernizing a process. They'll be regaining control over margin, exposure, and growth with the credibility to lead AI execution where it matters most. This shift isn't just about AI, it's about what it means to lead in a world where intelligence drives execution, not just insight. Because here's the truth surfacing in boardrooms across every industry. If you can't lead cross functional execution with data, your relevance is already at risk. So let's get a little personal for a moment. The executives shaping the conversation of this episode offer three simple but powerful questions for every leader. A gut check, really, to see how you're navigating AI disruption. First question: do you have real time visibility into the financial and operational levers that matter most to your business? Not just reports, actual execution level awareness. Second, are you the one that's surfacing the insights that drive action? Or is someone else stepping into that role? Maybe someone with a new AI or transformation title. And the third question is probably the most important. If your company went full speed into AI execution tomorrow, would you become more essential or quietly redundant? The uncomfortable truth: leadership is shifting. And if you can't answer those three questions with confidence, your influence may already be evaporating quietly, structurally, but permanently. So let's bring this full circle because there's one place where this leadership test can become visible first. That one place is where 80% of your company's financial and operational commitments already live: your contracts. Contracts define how you generate revenue, manage costs, and enforce risks and protect your margins. But most organizations, that data is trapped, fragmented, and it's buried. If you don't have intelligent, real time access to what's inside those agreements, not only are you missing execution opportunities, you're truly surrendering strategic control. That's why the leaders who are winning right now aren't just chasing dashboards, they're reclaiming operational levers. You can start with your contracts, turning them from static documents into dynamic engines of decision making. Because in the AI era, visibility isn't a bonus, it's the price of admission to lead. Now, if this episode sparked something for you, good. That means you're still in the game. But don't wait to be invited into the next phase of transformation. Lead it. So be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up in next week's episode. The death of CLM. It isn't just a headline, it's a reflection of deep frustration. CLM didn't just lose momentum, it fell completely off Dr. Eloise Epstein's 2024 Spider Man. Now, that's not just a subtle signal, it's a reset. So next week, I'm going to sit down with CLM veteran Jim O'Hara, someone who's been in the trenches of over 400 CLM implementations, to unpack why the old playbook failed and what the next era of contract execution really demands. Now, if this episode challenged or inspired you, share it with 3 other leaders who are also navigating the same shifts. This episode was brought to you by Contract IQ, disrupting the way that companies manage, execute, and extract value from their contracts, leveraging AI. I'm Tyja Dickerson, and this is a 10X Contract Value Podcast, cutting edge insights where we don't just manage contracts, we master them. See you next Thursday.